Welcome back to the Remote Edge. This is episode 2, the Aqua Weenie Creek, What We Learned on the River. My name is Michael, the Professor Schultz. I'm founder and CEO of Gwen IoT, and in today's episode, we take a look into a real-world journey, an exploration that began on the river and is shaping the future of environmental intelligence, especially in Guyana, South America. Now, we had worked with a local business owner to set up our base of operations not too far from the Charity Wharf that sits on the Pomeroon. We then took a boat heading up the Pomeroon, weaving through a lot of the creeks, but specifically the Aqua Weenie Creek, which is one of the tributaries that feeds the Pomeroon River. It was the first leg of a site survey, scouting locations for some of our remote towers, our IoT gateways and sensors. We were looking to begin to integrate and to deploy Gwen IoT's infrastructure as a service. This is way before the Guyana NBIS initiative, which was the National Biodiversity Information System. But we were there on the ground level looking at the possibilities, because one of the things that we do as a company is that we utilize our artificial intelligence infrastructure to not only extend networks, not only bring vision into remote locations, but also but also to be a base for the IoT sensors that we deploy. So in the field of scouting, every sense is attuned. We were listening for gaps, connectivity black spots, human wildlife corridors, flood zones, clearing for solar placement. At Gwen IoT, we just don't plant devices. We build networks that respects the land. We identified several promising tower locations, elevated points near creek intersections, places where we could bring our IoT clusters and our network connected device. We were looking for places to place the LoRa communication towers, as well as how can we mitigate having an impact on the ecosystem. We also noted area where there was high wildlife activity, which is ideal for motion trigger video and bioacoustic monitoring. Those zones help us validate animal tracking data sets that feed and will feed into the National Biodiversity Information System and the National Biodiversity indicators. One of the things that we did learn was that nature is complex, and it really doesn't wait for permission. Terrain changes. One day the trail is clear, the next is under, 3 feet of water. That's why we wanted to make sure that our hardware would be adaptive, that it would be waterproof, that it would be redundant, and our software that it must work even when the cloud doesn't, right? So collecting and caching data for sync when connectivity returns. This trip also reminded us that community knowledge is non-negotiable. Local guides told us where monkeys nest, where certain animals were seen, where there were some flood pattern shifts. That insight helped shape where we deploy. So what's next? We were headed back to the Pomeroon region to meet with stakeholders and local communities. We are enlisting more stakeholders for sensor propagation and network connectivity across the region. We're collaborating with our first sensor kits, and we're putting those together as we speak. And then we, of course, are going to be doing some additional site surveys when we are there. This is all in preparation for a pilot deployment that will be used to feed the NBIS system. And so our deployment of the smart sensors and some of the video and sensoring that we will be doing will be used to feed into the national database. And that's just the start of the project. We understand that the edge is alive, and that is from the forest floor all the way to the clouds. IoT is here to listen, to learn, and to build the infrastructure that connects data to actions. Thank you for riding with us. Subscribe and share the Remote Edge, and follow us, of course, on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, our website. So until the next time, stay connected, stay ahead. Thank you for joining.